Hi, I'm Dr. V. Jayashree, going to give lecture on the general anesthetics. After completion of this chapter, the student should be able to categorize the drugs used as an general anesthetics, illustrate the properties and features of general anesthetics, correlate the various stages of the general anesthesia, explain the mechanism of general anesthetics at receptor levels, analyze the pharmacological actions of the general anesthetics, focus on the basic pharmacological knowledge in prevention and treatment of the ailments. The contents of this chapter include introduction, properties of general anesthetics, features of general anesthetics, stages of general anesthesia, general mechanism of action, classification of general anesthetics, pharmacological actions, adverse effects, and uses of general anesthetics, complications involved before and after anesthesia, pre-anesthetic medication, and drugs used as an pre-anesthetic agents. Introduction. General anesthetics are the drugs which produces reversible loss of sensation and consciousness. These drugs are given during surgery only through the systemic route. It acts on the central nervous system and produces analgesia, amnesia, loss of consciousness, along with relaxation of the muscles and blockade of autonomic and sensory reflexes. The factors that determine the amount of general anesthetic agents given to the subject in order to produce its actions should include drug being used, dosage form of the drug, clinical condition of the patient, smoking habits, and alcohol intake. Properties of general anesthetics. All the general anesthetic must possess the following properties. It should be safe to administer and stable. It should have agreeable taste and odor. It should not cause any vomiting to the patient. Easy and comfort of both induction and recovery. Actions must be reversible. It should be non-irritating and non-toxic to the patients. It should produce complete relaxation of the muscles and inhibition of the body movements so that surgery can be performed. It should not be inflammable or explosive. It should be rapid in its action. It should have lower degree of systemic toxicity. Features of general anesthetics include loss of all sensation, especially the pain, reversibility. It should produce sleep, amnesia, immobility, muscle relaxation, abolition of somatic and autonomic reflexes. The stages of anesthesia has been divided into four stages. The stage 1 is the stage of analgesia, stage 2 is the stage of excitement or delirium, stage 3 is the state of surgical anesthesia which has been further divided into four planes. Next, the stage 4 is the stage of medullary paralysis. So these are the physiological changes during general anesthesia. In stage 1, labor, incisions and minor operations can be performed, whereas in stage 2, surgeries cannot be performed, whereas in surgical anesthesia, that is stage 3, most of the surgeries can be performed. Stage 1, stage of analgesia. It starts from beginning of the anesthetic inhalation, lasts up to loss of consciousness. The patient remain consciousness, can hear and see and feels a dreamlike state. Amnesia develops by the end of this stage. Reflexes and respiration remains normal. Few major and minor surgeries can be performed such as abscess, incision, tooth extraction. It cannot be maintained stable for a longer period of time. Stage 2, stage of excitement or delirium. It starts from the loss of consciousness to beginning of the regular respiration. The patient may shout, struggle, and hold his breath. Muscle tone increases, jaws are tightly closed, breathing is jerky, vomiting, involuntary maturation or defecation may occur, heart rate and blood pressure may rise, pupils get dilated mainly due to the sympathetic stimulation, and these effects can be overcome by the use of the pre-anesthetic agents. Care should be taken not to supply any stimuli or carry out any operation or surgery during this stage. At the end of this stage, the irregular respiration tends to normalize. So these are the reactions produced during this stage of delirium, mainly due to the sympathetic stimulation. That is vomiting, loss of consciousness, the patient may shout, the breathing is jerky, the pupil gets dilated, jaws gets tightly closed, heart rate and BP may rise. So all these effects are mainly due to stimulation of this sympathetic stimulation. Stage 3, stage of surgical anesthesia. It extends from onset of regular respiration to cessation of spontaneous breathing. The patient starts breathing deeply, reflexes are lost, and skeletal muscles are relaxed. It has been divided into four plates based on the eye movements, eye reflexes, and size of the pupil. In plane 1, roving eyeballs can be seen. That is, this plane ends when eyes become squeezed. Plane 2, loss of corneal and laryngeal reflexes occurs. In plane 3, pupil starts dilating and light reflex is lost. In plane 4, intercostal paralysis, shallow abdominal respiration, dilated pupil, muscle tone decreases, blood pressure falls, heart rate increases with weak pulse, and respiration decreases. In stage 4, that is stage of medullary paralysis, it starts from cessation of breathing to failure of circulation and death. Pupil is widely dilated, muscles are totally flabby, pulse is thready, imperceptible, and BP is very, very low. The accessory muscles and diaphragm gets paralyzed, resulting in respiratory failure. The vasomotor center present in medulla along with the cardiac functions also fail. So the general anesthetics has been divided into inhalational anesthetics and intravenous anesthetics. The inhalational anesthetics has been divided into gas and volatile liquids. The gas is the nitrous oxide. The examples for the volatile liquids include ether, halothane, isoflurane, desflurane, enflurane, sevoflurane. The intravenous anesthetics has been divided into two types. One is fast-acting drugs, the other one is the slower-acting drugs. In fast-acting drugs, thiopentin sodium, methotrexate sodium, propofol, intermediate or reset. The slower-acting drugs has been divided into benzodiazepines, that is diazepam, lorazepam, naloxone, hallucinogens, that is ketamine, opioid analgesics, that is fentanyl. General mechanism of action. It acts by depressing the neuronal activity in the brain. It exhibits different mechanisms of action by acting on different sites in the brain at various stages. They act on hypothalamus to cause unconsciousness, while their action on hippocampus causes amnesia, whereas on spinal cord it causes immobilization. The predominant site of action is the ligand-gated ion channels GABA A receptor chloride channel complex. When GABA binds to the GABA A receptor, the chloride channels gets opened that results in the influx of the chloride ions that results in the hyperpolarization and reduced excitation of postsynaptic membrane. Certain general anesthetics also exerts their effects on glycine receptors and enhances inhibitory actions of glycine in spinal cord and medulla, resulting in immobilization and reduced response to noxious stimuli. The general anesthetics like ketamine, nitrous oxide, cyclopropane act at NMDA receptors, that is N-methyl D-aspartate receptors, which is nothing but ligand-gated ion channel. Glutamic acid is an excitatory neurotransmitter that binds to the NMDA receptor that results in antagonizing the excitatory actions of the glutamic acid and produces unconsciousness. Certain general anesthetics such as nitrous oxide xenon mediate the actions through gamma A receptor and also activate the potassium channels that results in hyperpolarization. That results in the inhibition of the neuronal functions. Inhalational anesthetics. So under that we are going to discuss about the nitrous oxide. It is a colorless, odorless, heavier than air, non-inflammable gas supplied under pressure in steel cylinders. Nitrous oxide is a good analgesic. Even 20% of this nitrous oxide is enough to produce analgesia. Neuromuscular blockers are mostly required during while giving this nitrous oxide. Onset of the nitric oxide action is very quick, smooth, recovery is rapid. It is generally used as a carrier and adjuvant to other anesthetics. A mixture of 70% nitrous oxide along with 25 to 30% of oxygen and 0.2 to 2% another potent anesthetic is employed for most of the surgical procedures. It has little effect on respiration, heart and BP, breathing and circulation are better maintained with the mixture than with the potent anesthetic given alone in food doses. As the sole agent, that is, as an individual agent, nitrous oxide has been used with oxygen for dental, obstetric analgesia. It is non-toxic to liver, kidney, and brain. Prolonged nitrous oxide anesthesia has the potential to depress the bone marrow and cause peripheral neuropathy. Metabolism of nitrous oxide does not occur, it is quickly removed from the body by the lungs. So next one is the diethyl ether. It is a highly volatile liquid, produces irritating vapors which are inflammable and explosive. It is a potent anesthetic and produces good analgesia and marked muscle relaxation by reducing the acetylcholine output from the motor nerve endings. It is highly soluble in blood. Induction is prolonged and unpleasant with struggling, breath holding, salivation, and increased respiratory secretions can be seen. Recovery is very slow. Post anesthetic, nausea, vomiting, and retching can be seen. Respiration and blood pressure are generally well maintained because of reflex stimulation and high sympathetic tone. Ether is not used in developed countries because of its unpleasant and inflammable properties, but it is used in the developing countries because of its cheap in cost. Inhalational anesthetics, then halothane. So it is a fluorinated, highly potent general anesthetic with a characteristic fruitic odor. It is a volatile liquid with sweet odor, non-irritant and non-inflammable. It is a potent anesthetic. It causes direct depression of myocardial contractility and cardiac output is reduced with deepening anesthesia. It is beneficial in inducing anesthesia in asthmatics because it does not cause spasmodic conditions, release of respiratory secretions, and inhibits the impulses arising from larynx and pharynx. It is effective in children in inducing and maintaining the anesthesia. Next is the intravenous anesthetics. Under that, we are going to see thiopentone sodium, which is a fast-acting drug. It is an ultra short-acting thiobarbiturates. It is injected IV as a 2.5 solution. Usually, the dose is 3 to 5 mg per kg, which is produces unconsciousness in 15 to 20 seconds. Thiopentone is a poor analgesic. Painful procedure should be carried out under its influence unless an opioid or nitrous oxide has been given. Otherwise, the patient may struggle, shout, and show reflex changes in blood pressure and respiration. The adverse effects include laryngospasm. This can be prevented by administration of atropine as a pre-medication agent and administration of the succinylcholine immediately after thiopentone. Succinylcholine and thiopentone react normally and it should not be mixed into the same syringe. Shivering and delirium may occur during recovery. Complications of the general anesthetics during anesthesia, respiratory depression and hypercarbia may occur, salivation and respiratory secretions may increase, cardiac arrhythmias and asystole, falling BP, aspiration of gastric contents that is acid pneumonitis, laryngospasm and asphyxia may occur, awareness that is dreadful perception and recall of events during surgery may occur. This is mainly due to use of the light anesthesia or analgesics and muscle relaxants. Delirium, convulsions, and other excitatory effects are generally seen with IV anesthetics, especially phenothiazones or hyoscine have been given in pre-medication. They are suppressed by the opioids. Fire and explosion. This is rare now due to use of non-inflammable anesthetics. Complication of general anesthetics after anesthesia. Nausea and vomiting may occur, persisting sedation, that is impaired psychomotor function, pneumonia, atelectasis, organ toxicities like liver, kidney damage, no palsies due to faulty positioning, emergency delirium, cognitive defects like prolonged excess cognitive decline has been observed in some patients, especially in the elderly who have undergone general anesthesia, particularly of longer duration action. Pre-anesthetic medication. It refers to the drugs administered before anesthesia to make it more pleasant and safe. It also reduces the adverse effects of anesthesia such as salivation, emesis, that is vomiting, and bradycardia. The advantages of pre-anesthetic medication include relief of anxiety and apprehension and to facilitate the smooth induction. Amnesia for pre and post-operative events, supplement analgesic actions of anesthetics and potentiate them so that less anesthetic is needed, decreases the secretions and vagal stimulation that may be caused by the anesthetic, antiemetic effect extending to the post-operative period, decreases the acidity and volume of gastric juice so that it is less damaging if aspirated. The pre-anesthetic drugs used are sedative, anti-anxiety drugs, that is diazepam or lorazepam. Anticholinergics are used, that is atropine or hyoscine. Neuroleptics, that is chlorpromazine, triflupromazine, or haloperidol, are infrequently used in pre-medication. H2 blockers or proton pump inhibitors, that is ranitidine or omeprazole, given night before and in the morning. Patients undergoing prolonged operations, that is C-section and obesity patients, are at increased risk of gastric regurgitation and aspiration pneumonia. Antiemetics such as metoclopramide at a dose of 10 to 20 mg is effective in reducing the post-operative vomiting. Ondansetron can also be given, that is the selective 5-HT3 blocker. It is found effective in reducing the incidence of the post-anesthetic nausea and vomiting. Thank you for your patience.